Hey, what's up, everybody? It's me, Danae, and I'm here with a message for you. Happy Monday, folks. It's November 4th, 2024. I hope that you had a great weekend, got some rest, did something fun and exciting. I hope your week's off to a good start so far. And hope that the fall is treating you well. Such an exciting season, I think. Especially when you come off of, like the simmer down from the summer. There's like a small little window there that's like, oh, summer. But then when you start revving up into the fall holidays, you get excited about things again, and everything has like a new life about it. So that's where I am with it now. Really not festering. What's the word that I'm looking for? Damn, I can't think of the word already. Come on now. Not filtering either. I don't know. There's a word I'm looking for, but basically I'm circulating that holiday spirit already. It's already brewing over here. Yeah. I mean, it's just, you can't get any more intensive vibes of joy than from this particular, well, I can't say that, because it could be different for different people, and sometimes the holidays can be triggering, but generally speaking, there's just this vibrancy that's in the air that you would really more so have to resist and reject aggressively and intentionally before it wouldn't have some type of impact or effect on you. So I choose to embrace it, to really be wide open to all of that light and exuberance and brilliance from this season. Might as well take it all in before the winter sets in, and then that's another like short little dead spot until the spring comes back around. So you got to take these ebbs and flows, as best you can, and just drink it all in. Save some for the next little, for the next valley, so to speak, or like the peaks and valleys. And sometimes, like I said, that point between between summer and this time is a bit of a little valley, morning to summer. And then sometimes by January, after all the holiday festivities kind of die down and it's dead winter, especially where I am, there's a little bit of a valley, and you gotta just keep that sunshine in your pocket to trek on through. And before you know it, it's springtime. But that's just how I live my life, Let's see. Meanwhile, back on the ranch, 5 of Wands and the Star. So some people are competing over fame, fortune, perhaps recognition, attention, fighting for attention. Fighting for attention. Let's see what's under the 5 of Wands. Wow, what a disappointment that has amounted to. The 5 of Cups. Because you can't compete where you don't compare, and there is no comparison among stars. Like, everybody that's authentically operating in their purpose and passion is unique. So let's see what's under here. Yeah, the Queen of Wands. It's like she not even looking over there. She over here minding her own damn business, looking the only point of comparison, and dare I even say competition, is with herself, trying to figure out how to be more healed, more evolved, more wise, more courageous, more bold, ambitious, more creative. Like, that's the only point of consideration, is the internal one for a Queen of Wands, that's literally just focused on doing her, emphasis on doing her, because that's what the Queen of Wands does. She's active, she's hyperactive, as a matter of fact, with this star, but it's all purposeful and focused energy, intentional and energy that's funneled into her craft, or her or just like, again, just invested in herself to be better, to continue to improve in whatever way she observes would be most sensational, not from what anybody else is doing or saying or projecting. There is no competition, that she would be measuring herself by, like, oh, they're doing this over there, so I need to do this, or they can do that really well, so I need to figure out how the way to do it better. Like, she's not looking at none of that. She's not and it's about the feminine energy of creativity, where it's not even just about creating something altogether new every time or exclusively. It's also about recreating, or taking inspiration and and how can I say it, like, receiving inspiration and like redeveloping it in something that is more in alignment with her signature, and of course masculine or feminine, but I'm speaking about the energy of the feminine force that can literally conceive of something and deliver it as a completely different organism, or new organism. So that means that it's not about looking around at what everybody else is doing and keeping up with that frequency, but it also can be about observing trends, or, I mean, she's not doing that here, but I'm saying generally speaking, it could look like, in a more productive sense, observing trends and observing, just, always being on the lookout for new inspiration in general. But even after you're impressed by it in one way or another, it's not to copy it. It's certainly not to compete with it. It's not to project anything unfavorable against it. It's like, oh, I like that. Is that something that aligns with my purpose, my passion, my drive? Does that make sense in my, portfolio? If so, how can I take that inspiration and create something that is authentic, and it's like an ingenuity and a reinventiveness about this energy here, where she's always trying to keep up with herself, and the evolution of herself as she idealizes it. And that doesn't mean you can't be inspired by things on the outside, but it's how you ingest and transpose that inspiration that makes all the difference here. And that's why there's a grave difference here between the Five of Cups, with someone that's just deeply unfulfilled, maybe even depressed, certainly unsatisfied with the rat race as it is in the Five of Wands. It's a cycle, it's a hamster wheel. It doesn't really yield much to be desired, quite honestly. And here is like the ultimate confidence, security, fulfillment. Like, this is like focusing on bringing things to life that are your own personal wishes, or like your own personal prescriptive realizations between self and supreme, of course, in this case, but it's like there is no point of reference outside of yourself when this is what you are focused on. It's a one woman, one man show, more or less, as far as your earthly vessel is concerned. But of course, again, the co-creativity between source and self is the realization of a true star, as we see here. So what was that? It was the Five of Wands on the bottom, but that was the bottom energy. The star was kind of on the other side, but again, it's like this disparity between people that are fighting, scrapping for attention, fighting for a place, you know, a position, recognition, reward, a very, even though the Five of Wands itself doesn't always have to be low vibrational, you know, distinctly low vibrational. It could even be a casual competition, but next to the Five of Cups, it definitely gives that it's something that's not very productive, certainly not prosperous, spiritually or energetically. It's depleting, it's exhausting, you know. It doesn't energize or regenerate anything promising. It just keeps you on, you know, a cycle of disappointment is what I'm getting. So it's like, if those that are continuing to fight for this ideal of star power, but through the misconceptualized means of doing so, ultimately face the inevitable, which is disappointment and dissatisfaction. And with the Queen of Wands, it takes, you know, a bout of courage. And that's like the difference between the Five of Wands and the Queen of Wands is not being afraid to stand out, to be above the fray or outside of the fray of the status quo of what everybody seems to be doing, or whatever the conditioning of a time seems to be, even what may you may perceive to even be productive at a time. To sit in the Queen of Wands position and almost be looking out into the horizon or beyond with the Star card, that perspective is bold. It is, you know, it's ambitious. It's trailblazing. It's trend-setting, as a matter of fact. But it's one of those things that doesn't always, it's not a position that's always well received or understood or appreciated or encouraged. So you have to have a great grounding of courage and confidence and even fearlessness to some degree to maintain that point of view and to see it through to whatever that ideal star realization or achievement may be, because there's always this that could distract you or literally oppose you. You know, just sometimes that star energy provokes resistance just because it's different, just because it's not going along to get along. So to maintain that position of focus is definitely an accomplishment in itself. And with the Star card, that just says that there's a great reward attached to that may or may not be tangible, but that part doesn't really matter because the star is achieving a status of fulfillment that, again, is unlimited first and foremost, and also irrefutable. And it stands alone. It doesn't need to be validated by anything or anyone outside of it, and it doesn't need anything to sustain itself but itself. So imagine, achieving to idealize that reality and then to actually realize it. That's powerful. All right, so let's see what else we got here. I'm gonna try to keep it kind of cute. Yeah, here's the Judgment card. And I know that, the Queen of Wands is still on the bottom, but what I also see is the World card. So let's see. Wow, the World and Judgment. So yeah, this is like a trumpet sounding moment. Something being called to completion for sure or to order with the World card and the Queen of Wands. I knew the Queen of Wands would be there because of how I placed the decks to look at the cards. But the World card is definitely curious of ending a cycle. A great, that's exactly what it is. What I was saying, like coming to celebrating some powerful achievement. And then in this case, I feel like the achievement, the accomplishment is, first of all, completely bringing closure to the contempt of the old world. Whatever it is that may have been withholding upon such an energy, resisting to keep someone from fully operating in that capacity of this in the Star card. And also the contention between those two ideals, where, as I said, there's always the distraction to go along, to get along, or the temptation, or even the allure, or I don't know, like the calling, even with the Judgment card, like to almost be summoned back to that more contemporary consciousness where everybody is more or less doing the same thing or following a similar program. It's like closing the door on that contention, and that contempt is the point of celebration and great achievement and accomplishment, because this is what is rendered of a supreme self now, again, sitting in this seat of optimum confidence and creativity, where someone is fully empowered to be the creative director in their life, and of course, again, always in collaboration and co-creation with the divine, but being so asserted in their own sovereignty from that ordinance, and as more or less endorsed by the divine, first of all, on account of cycles that have been closed successfully and accomplishments that have been made, and then now realizing this regenerative experience of reality, where this new identity, which once was probably like trudging in the mud, a bit of a struggle at times, can now be expressed with ease. That's what I'm getting here. That can literally be more effortless and easeful, because there's a judgment here on account of what has been closed and what is now renewed and refreshed, that says that is the fate. That is what is admissible to whomever, align themselves with that destined path, with when there were no guarantees, but with the faith and hope that it would lead to the most fortune and favor in the long run. And then here is the long run proclamation here, where something has paid off. And if it's nothing else but just the self-security of knowing that not only am I well affirmed in who I have committed myself to be up until this point, I certainly am affirmed and confirmed to continue on in that right, you know, perhaps even in that righteousness according to the judgment card, you know. That's I mean, how many of us just really want a green light and a thumbs up to know, like, yes, well done, you know, like the scripture, like, well done, my good and faithful servant type of energy, like to know that you have governed yourself well along this time when there were so many uncertainties and so many illusions, and again, obstructions and detours, and allegedly, because, you know, for all intents and purposes, we were always moving in the right direction. But when you had no idea whether you were or not, you were just insistent to stay focused on a direction that seemed to present itself to be productive. And lo and behold, literally with the judgment card, it just so happens that you didn't do too bad. You know, I'm not saying everybody's made all the best choices and done everything right, so-called right, or even righteous, but having the most righteous intentions ahead of you has definitely made all the difference. And that is really what you know, how grace carries you through during those times of uncertainty, or even moments of misalignment that we've all had along the way, to help redirect you back on that path to alignment, you know, and not be resistant to it. Because, I mean, the Queen of Swords is by nature very confident, headstrong, assertive, and ambitious energy, that to be so atypical and yet submissive in some regard, which is what the feminine energy of the wands definitely projects in this case, that is evolution in itself, you know, because the natural inclination of a human in an alpha energy is to control, to lead, to dominate, to force and forge their way, even through brick walls and red lights and stop signs and roadblocks. But to be in that, to kind of dance in that balance between submission and sovereignty, is, especially when there was no roadmap, no point of reference, and certainly, again, no road signs that you were going in the right direction, is absolutely, you know, a tribute to whatever this breakthrough is, an accomplishment, achievement, and perhaps even award that comes with it. Something to definitely be proud of. Yeah, something to be, you are someone to be proud of. So if you can resonate with any of that, you should be very proud of yourself. You have permission to be proud of yourself in the most high vibrational way that you can possibly be. It's like literally the judgment card is almost calling you to allow yourself to be infused with the pride of the divine. You know, it's like, that's good, that's deep. You know how sometimes you could be working so hard towards something, like, and this could be something that you actually foresee an end result or an ideal completion of, and you're working so hard and so diligently that once it's complete and you've actually achieved the goal, you don't even really allow yourself to like savor the process as it was of that achievement, to give yourself the pat on the back, to really consider all that it must have taken to realize this goal or this end result, whatever it is, because there was so much activity and focus on the doing and the creating and the manifesting, even however it looks. So when it's all done, it's like, whew, it's done. And there's a definitely an appreciation for um the completion, but not oftentimes do we actually allow ourselves um to really sit in our success from beginning to end before we're even like, all right, so what's next? You know what I mean? Like, okay, what do I, and you know what, back to it, that's really significant with the world card, because one of the inflections of the world card is to really take the time to celebrate and appreciate whatever it is that you've completed at this time. If for some that could be something very specific, very tangible, very intentional, like I said, an actual project, whatever. But for some, that really is the evolution of your most courageous self, the emergence of, dare I say, your most courageous self, your most attractive self, creative self, ambitious self, resilient self, like all the ways to speak about the resistance to actually move beyond that fray, or even sometimes against it in many ways, and to still sit pretty as the Queen of Wands does here, with a success to be honored, and that not even just honored in the material or the physical sense, but literally is applauded from a divine standpoint. It's like it's more than just even what we allow ourselves to congratulate ourselves on in the natural form, because oftentimes we don't. We're already off to, okay, that's off the list, next. Or, like I said, even if you take the time to enjoy the fruits of your labor, sometimes you don't really allow yourself to appreciate the process, and all that it took, because it almost seems a little like self, I don't know, like aggrandizing, if that's the word, or, like souping yourself up, like, all right, just move on, do something else, But I feel like whatever this moment of pause may be, or consideration, or congratulations, or appreciation, it's divinely ordained that you really allow yourself to revel in that. And it's not without purpose. I'll tell you why in a minute, but you really allow yourself to revel in that, allow yourself to reflect. Maybe that's what this Mercury retrograde may be supportive of. As a matter of fact, like some real deep moments of reflection, not so much about the past and who's coming back and what you need to do better than you did before, but really maybe a consideration of all that you've already done, all that you've done well at that, what you've achieved, how resilient you've been through the best of times and the worst of times, particularly the worst, of course, and how brilliant you've been also through both of those, but especially the best. And because that's the type of energy, like I was saying before in the beginning of this, that's the sunshine Leo energy that you really need to tuck in your pocket as a point of reference, because there's more to do. There's more to be, there's more to see, there's more to accomplish. And whereas we've been going about it almost blindly ambitious and optimistic in some ways for many of us, like very tunnel focused, tunnel visioned, and again, without guarantee, now to have the, not just the realization of the fruits of your labor, but also the recollection of the process and the formality of it all as it was, that's all really prime intel to shorten your learning curve and your productivity measures for how you create in the future, so that there really doesn't take, it may not take as much time, effort, or energy. Again, about the, well, I didn't say it already, but I've said it many times about working smarter and not harder, but that energy is what is more of a reflective and retro realization to advance your progression that much more acceleratedly, because now you're working on the evidence of what you have manifested and how you've even manifested within yourself. And now with new projections still, because as I've said, we're always looking ahead to what's next, but now having all of that sacred special intel in your arsenal to probably be able to produce and prosper that much more productively, and certainly faster than what it's taken at this point. So it's not just about really savoring your success and all the processing and formalities that have come before it for pride's sake, even though this is Leo energy again, or any fire sign, but definitely giving Leo vibes, for pride's sake or for personal exaltation, in any type of superficial way, is really about reinvesting that confidence and affirmation and self-assurance back into yourself, because certainly the higher you continue to ascend, evolve, and execute on even more sophisticated levels, the more far and wide, if you were doing it at a lower level before with no appreciation and hella resistance, it could be that continues to evolve with you in different forms and at different frequencies. So you're going to definitely, it's not like you reach a plateau and that's all there is, especially with the ambitious Queen of Wands and with the Judgment card that's always calling you to ascend higher and higher. That just means you've completed a level, and now you take all of that experience and energy with you to the next, where, as they say, new levels, new devils, but really as you continue to ascend, you're really putting yourself more, making yourself more resilient to obstinance on each level, if you effectively apply what you've learned and gained from the one before. Again, shortening that learning curve, so you're not just recycling a new experience on a higher level and almost having to relearn and recycle experiences all over again. You're literally beginning to evolve yourself beyond the fray altogether, from there being any type of connection between it at all and anything that dwells within it. And that's that Five of Wands energy, where it may always exist in the frequency that it's in, but the higher you ascend, it should look more and more minuscule to you, to the point of damn near non-existent. You know what I mean? So that would be the ideal. But again, the point is, in this moment, really allow yourself to celebrate yourself for you and for the divine's sake. You need to be at your highest expression of confidence and courage so that you can keep it up. keep doing what you're doing and doing it even better the next time around. I just heard Aaliyah, keep it up. We gon' show you how we party. Keep it up. We gon' show you how we party. Yes, Aaliyah, come through. That was more than Aaliyah, of course. I love that song. Up Jumps the Boogie. That was Timberland, Magoo, Missy, Aaliyah. I know Genuine was in the video, but I don't think he sang. And I think there used to be another girl that rolled with them named Mocha, but I think maybe she was on another song and she was just in the video too or something. But that song is cool. I'll post it below just because. But hey, we gonna show you how to party. I hear that loud and clear. Maybe that's the divine, like, keep up the good work. We gonna show you how it's all paid off. But then we got this Tower card here, and it's probably something surprising that I would say is pushing this Knight of Pentacles along. Like, this is what I'm sensing because of the nature of this message as it is. That this unexpected turn of events is ultimately what may speed up this process of the Knight of Pentacles, who's a little bit more careful, conscious, considerate, maybe a little too careful at times, to have every dot, every T crossed and every I dotted before it makes its advancement, or presents itself. It's almost a matter of perfection or something sometimes with the Knight of Pentacles, where it wants to have everything in order and is willing to work for that order, no less, for sure. But there may be so maybe this is it, like where you may feel like this divine ascendance that you're being called into, maybe into position, into power, into affluence, whatever this next level of ascension may be. It's something like it may almost seem like something that is above you or beyond you. Like, I can't be ready for that. Like that seems like a bit above my pay grade, or a little more than I can handle. Or your ideal of advancement and evolution may be on one frequency where the divine has other plans. You know what I mean? And it could be quite a disruption. And I would think in a pleasantly surprising way in this case, especially if you're focused on, on the path of destiny as it is in purpose. Sometimes it can be jolting though when we have an ideal of what that process, that what did I call it? Like the process and the formalities of that process. Like, okay, so I do this to get to here, and then here to get to there. Like, that's the type of energy the Knight of Pentacles is on. Very practical, very, a very practical outlook. And when the divine is involved, sometimes that can be accelerated to the point of, almost feeling unstable, or certainly feeling, I won't say off balance, but it could be a shock to the system of practicality when you have every intention and also every other point of reference to see progression and advancement in a very singular way. That's what I'm getting. Like you wouldn't necessarily idealize this beeline to the next level, or even maybe even so the next level that you may have idealized may be 2 steps behind what is actually about to be realized, courtesy of the divine. Whereas you would have been, very comfortable on this very steady path, and suddenly things change and shift in such a way that you literally have to readjust, maybe readjust your pace or your acceptance and assertiveness on this new frequency. Yeah, it's something about that. I don't think I'm saying that right. Yeah, and here's the Two of Swords. Still, this expression of uncertainty, even maybe questioning whether or not you have enough information. Are you skilled enough? Are you knowledgeable enough? Do you have enough experience? Do you have enough, perhaps even resources? Is your vision clear enough to actually fulfill the calling that is being set before you? And in a lot of ways, it's like, at this time, of course, you always have the free will to resist, but when you've already submitted yourself to the path of destiny, you really don't have a whole lot of control over the pace, So what may have seemed reasonable in one way, shape, or form may not be realistic, and realistic in this sense beyond the realm of beyond this realm of what's the word, limitation, and for some of us, you're just going to have to get out there and go when you get that cue. Otherwise, you could miss an opportunity to advance beyond your wildest dreams, because it's one thing to just be looking at that star for all it's worth, but now when the judgment's in the mix, it's like, yeah, that's what kept you on the path, that's what kept you focused, kept you centered, gave you direction. But the thoughts for you and of you, as where the divine is concerned, are usually so much greater than what you can even perceive in your human sense, and that's good, because there's room to be surprised, but there's also invitation to allow yourself to be surprised, and to be succeeded in the way that ultimately is on track with your destiny and for your destiny, as opposed to a resistance of it or against it. Yeah, because that's what this is, like, hold up, like, whoa there type of energy. Like, I ain't ready for all this, but yeah, I think you kind of are. Or even questioning, are you? And that's why I'm here to say, like, really allow yourself to revel in who you've been. Yeah, here's that introspection. Here, the question, like, do I still need some meditation, some training, some teaching, some guidance? And yeah, we'll always need that. That's eternal, as you continue, as evolving is eternal. I believe so. But it's fluid, I don't feel like this is the type of hermit where you feel like you want to retreat back into seclusion or solitude, even if it's for spiritual sanity's sake at this point. And there may, perhaps that could be an impulse, on account of this sudden change of events or pace or progress or position, power, whatever it is, to want to retreat back into, almost even contract into yourself, into hermit mode, for protection purposes, and for preservation purposes even. But I feel like the judgment at the top is like we're being called out now. Like there'll always be moments of retreat as necessary for maintenance and for recharge and for realignment, for rejuvenation, regeneration. As sure as there are always full moons, you'll always have that moment of rest and retreat. But it's also in motion that we're activated to cultivate that practice and that carefulness with our spiritual nature, even as we are still actively creating and advancing. So it's not like a drop everything and run and hide and go back into your shell and don't come out, or don't come out until everything is perfect, because this is also Virgo energy, to want to be in perfection with your public presentation or your personal profession or proclamation, whatever that is in spirit or in truth, before you feel like it's ready to present, it's ready to release. And that, again, that could be, especially when we're talking about the star card, that's usually something that you hold very close to your chest, is very intimate to you, very special and unique. So it literally could be a talent, it could be an artistic expression, it could be a gift, it could be a story, a testimony, whatever it is. It's so delicate at times. It's the thing that definitely surges the most insecurity, because it is the thing that, again, looks so much different than what everyone else is doing. And humanly, we have the inclination to want to blend and be in acceptance as much as we possibly can. So when now you're being called out and called up almost to the stage, the mic, the platform, the position, the audience, whatever it is, and there's like this is what I've been asking for a moment, but am I actually ready for it? This is it. Don't get scared now, okay? Yes, this is it. And you can feel comforted and even confident to express yourself without inhibition, even through imperfection. It'll be even more intriguing and engaging to express yourself raw and authentically than it would be if you felt like, as if there is ever a perfect moment of expression for anybody artistically, though, right? But even at the moment where you felt like it was perfect, or you were perfect and everything was ready, when Spirit says it's time to release, when that trumpet sounds, whatever that moment is for you or whomever uniquely, that's the time. That's the time. And you can go retreat and contemplate and even recreate as you feel so desired to do so after your moment has been realized and fully taken advantage of, but you wouldn't want to miss that moment for what it is, because you can go and fix everything up later. But look at this, Ace of Wands, that's the opportunity, that's the breakthrough, divine intervention, that serendipitous moment where it's like now or never, but not in a anxiety inducing way, like, oh my God, if I don't, it's do or die, no, it's just like this is what you're living for. This is it. So it's one thing to always be in the spirit of chasing it, pursuing it, even cultivating it, creating it, anticipating it, hoping for it, visualizing it, fantasizing about it to when it's actually here. Then it's showtime. What are you going to do? You're going to do you. That's all. That's all this is just doing you and allowing that supreme source of creativity to be conducted through your submission. That's it. It's really not that deep. It's much deeper than we make it, but that's because we're conditioned to feel like it's far more delicate and not delicate so much, but vulnerable. No, I don't know. It's a word that I'm trying to find. It definitely insecurity peaks, because that would be the opposite of this energy here, like where you almost feel like I can't get it out. It may come back out later. It may come back. Sensitive, maybe. Delicate, sensitive. I'm an artist and I'm sensitive about my shit type of energy. Insecure. Did I say that already? I think so. And that's the opposite of the Queen of Wands energy that I said is the accomplishment, to find yourself in that position of supreme creativity that's bold and confident, and you don't care who's watching or who's listening or who likes it and who doesn't. You have to do it almost to satisfy that burning desire within yourself, lest you combust from the inside out. Another ode to the Ace of Wands. It's like that fire and desire within you that just can't be extinguished, and a lot of times when it's not allowed to flourish, especially on the outside of you, it is the thing that kind of like corrodes your insides to some degree, or singes your insides to make you more calloused, to the creativity, the free creativity, the liberty of creativity in life, and the liberation of it, and the joy and enthusiasm for it. It makes you more reclusive and resistant to expression, but ultimately, again, just really tears you up on the inside, because that energy has to be released in order for there to be relief, particularly any satisfaction, which we all crave on some level or another. So that can even come from, again, that Five of Wands energy, where you're fighting to operate in an energy that's not even divine to you. Like you're trying to keep up with the market value or the competition in the market, because it seems to be, the means to building success, which we fabricate as that relief, that satisfaction and security of material gain, when we think it comes through one particular way, and we fight for it that way only to be dissatisfied because it's not fulfilling, and it's also usually not sustainable. The only other way is through self-discovery, and awareness first and foremost, to find that thing, or just to reconnect with it and reaffirm that thing that you probably dismissed or discarded, that ultimately is that pressure point of release, that thing that doesn't have much pressure in the way that some things do when they're going against your most authentic expression. It works in the opposite way, to almost relieve and lighten your load, to liberate, So anyway, we got the Six of Cups here and the Page of Cups. I'm gonna hurry up because I feel like a lot of time is passing. And oh my God, a couple cards. So this is something about the past, yes, and then so this is again that retraction into your most vulnerable and delicate self, like that self-conscious state of being that is even very sensitive, that sometimes can be a projection of your past conditioning, maybe your upbringing, societal conditioning, of which we all have been susceptible to since we got into this world. It has come in many different shapes and forms, but one thing for sure is that we all share that commonality. That's the Five of Wands energy that we all know very well, is this kind of pushback on who you would naturally evolve to be if left, to your own devices to some degree to do so. Eventually you'd get there if there was no interference or resistance at all. But this is that projection to want to kind of push back and put you back in a state of, I would say, almost like it really is just insecurity, and feeling uncertain or imbalanced in your expression, as a reflection of what was accepted or not accepted at some impressionable time in your life. So when perhaps that's something that could always, until it's not anymore, be a reoccurring theme. But for the Queen of Wands, who assumes control over her creative force, you know how to transmute those moments and refuel yourself, like even what's the right word, to like quench that thirst for acceptance, perhaps, or affirmation, by reaffirming yourself, again, by whatever it is that comes up, you can transmute that and allow it to work for you, and to reestablish that baseline and foundation of confidence and security that you need to move past it and not let it be something that suppresses your security and your ambitions. And that is the go within here that I was saying. It's like, it's fluid, it's continuous, it's eternal. Like, for as long as there is any resistance whatsoever on any level, if in fact, as far as we know, there always will be, or at least there is right now, let's say, because hopefully there won't always will be, but there is right now. And whether or not it follows you to the next level or presents itself in some other form, even as something internally evoked just by habit, and on impulse, or as a natural reaction, to success at times, where you find yourself regressing and considering moments of the past and, using those points of reference. That's the reason for the reaffirmed point of reference, because this is what you're contending with. Something that's been a deep-rooted conditioning for as long as you've been alive. So your frame of reference for the most evolved and successful expression of you is probably much shorter lived and experienced, let alone realized and affirmed, than what has been drilled as a reality, into your subconscious and your consciousness. So imagine like the disparity between those different weights. That's the reason why it's so important to really revel in your emergence at this point, and how you've evolved, and in some ways perhaps maybe recreated yourself, or have been recreated, or transformed, beyond the limitations of your life experiences. So it's important to revel in that so that you can give as much weight to that frequency as you possibly can, because this is the one that your body knows, that is natural to your subconscious, and is almost like a satisfying temptation for the sense of security to regress to, like what what is familiar, what is provable or evident, or has been evident at a time. You have a lot built up for that. What you may not have is much evidence of how amazing you are. Like there's an imbalance there to some degree, and perhaps you have a lot of evidence of how amazing you are, but more so the affirmation of that amazingness is probably where there's a void in comparison to the affirmation of how delicate and perhaps even insecure you should be, you have reason to be, so there it is, full circle. Let's see what else we have here. One more card. Oh no, that's too much. I'm not taking that. Yeah, all the reason to consider sabotage and disappointments in the past, moments of when you may have lacked or felt less than, or were projected to be less than. First of all, it's come to an end of you even allowing yourself to be vulnerable to this level of attacks, whether they be psychic or actual and practical. But it also is putting an end to the reality of any of it materializing for you, as long as you are focused on proving otherwise. But again, there's plenty of evidence that you can reflect on if you decide, again, as that Queen of Wands, to project your energy in that way. But why would you if you have a choice otherwise, And it very much so is about the will to choose the road less traveled, because this is the way that most people are on. That leads right back to that Five of Cups, where that Five of Wands is ultimately headed, whether they realize it or not. But the Queen of Wands is always headed in a different direction. Three of Wands, seeing the brighter future, the bigger picture, the long-term view. Look at this. Wow. This is a disparity here, right back to the beginning. Wow. Well, I can't not take those, because that's pretty profound. I only wanted one, but it's like, you need to know the difference in the choice, the frequency of choices to be made here. It's either this or that. Continue to be disappointed, unsatisfied, unfulfilled, unrealized in your true identity, even feeling undiscovered, unseen, you know what I mean, because of how you ultimately refuse to see yourself. As I said in the beginning, people fighting over fame and attention and the spot and fortune even, and It felt more like attention though, or recognition. But hell, if you don't truly see yourself authentically, not synthetically now, not in the Five of Wands energy of I'm a star, look at me, but truly in the frequency of that which is pure. If you don't realize that for yourself, it will always be undiscoverable. It'll never see the light of day, or the dark of night for that matter, if it's not first affirmed by you. Affirmed, assured, and asserted. Wow, come on, for real? The Queen of Wands again? That's so crazy. And what else? Oh, come on. What? There's the natural spotlight right here. The supreme source of all, given its descendants, its creation, as I said in the beginning, permission to revel in your magnificence. See how the baby is just free, arms open, like, look at me, love me, watch me. And it's not like, you know, it's not for vanity, it's not for pride, it's for pleasure and for liberty, you know, and for that pleasure and liberation to be procreative, for that to be the energy that gets to be regenerated over and over again, you know, contagious, procreative, co-creative, however it gets to manifest ultimately is what those that are conducive to it and a conduit of it are called to incite, you know, or to express, I guess I should say. Create, to be creators of moments that allow this frequency to shine. And ultimately, this spotlight doesn't just shine on you, it shines through you. And otherwise, the world is very dark. Look at this, 5 of Cups. Everything is very dark without this natural light, and everybody's expression of that is as unique as every ray is on this card. So there never needs to be competition. There can never be too much natural light. There can never be someone that is operating and expressing themselves in their divine identity that could, you know, be false or faulty. Whether you're favorable to one's taste or another is something altogether different, but that doesn't even matter, because really it's the energy that you are emitting. You ever see those people and it's like they doing something that it's like, damn, she got a lot of confidence to be doing that, and to your taste, to your perspective, is really not that great, but the sheer confidence to do it itself is impressionable, you know, and it makes an impact on you. That kind of energy is what I'm speaking of here. Whereas that person that's doing whatever they're doing, say they're a singer, and it's like, damn, she's singing that song like she hitting all the notes and ain't hitting one. Like, I've seen those types of performances where you could be somebody that can sing as effortlessly as you can talk, and you get nervous to share your gift or your talent. You get nervous for other people to hear you, but coming across somebody like that can inspire confidence in you to do something that you could do naturally and would even like to do naturally once you get past the delicate insecurities, right? There it is again. That because you actually can do it in a favorable way or a sensational way, and you ultimately cultivate the confidence, you have the potential to make an even greater impact on somebody to do whatever it is that they do naturally, organically, and effortlessly without inhibition, and that's just how we pay it forward on and on and on. So, I ain't joking on somebody that in my eyes, can't sing or can't do whatever a thing is. I'm really exalting the confidence, the security, and the boldness to do whatever it is that fulfills you and makes you happy. And of course, it's not hurting anybody else, particularly, but anything that you feel guided to do has some potential of good impression on someone else, just sheerly because of the confidence to do it. And from that point on, eventually you would find your way. And hell, maybe that was your purpose. You know what I mean? Who's to say? Was to inspire somebody else to be bold and brave. But even if it's not necessarily your calling holistically, the confidence that you invoke to just do what enlivens your passion would eventually lead you to exactly what that thing is, where that energy that you invested in one thing is easily transferable. So the point is really just to allow yourself to be expressive. And, the center of attention as far as the divine is concerned, to allow whatever light it wants to shine through you to do so without resistance, no matter what the audience may say, or what the reviews may be, or the judgments or criticisms, whatever judgments or criticisms may come. This is between you and the divine, and as far as this judgment card is concerned, it's lights, camera, action for the real stars in this universe to shine bright. Period. All right, so this is it. Don't get scared now. And have fun. I would like to say that too, with the Queen of Wands and the Sun. There's definitely like a combustion of joy there that you should be excited and feel, feel quite blissful and blissed to be you. Again, back to that original thought about really celebrating yourself and allowing yourself to be revered and applauded and celebrated in the way that the divine is celebrating you. It's like, bravo, bravo. You know what I mean? Like, encore is what it's saying ultimately. That might even be the title. Keep it going. Keep it going. So anyway, thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Don't be afraid to be celebrated. And if it just starts with you giving yourself a round of applause and a pat on the back, that's sufficient enough. Whether you ever get the audience participation or not, don't miss your moment to really celebrate all that you have become, all that you've done, and also all that is yet to be. All right, so thanks for listening and watching. Until next time, as always, I'll leave you with peace.